Hello and welcome to our briefing on the new CyberNorth Cybersecurity Innovation Centre, another exciting initiative from CyberNorth. So we're going to talk to you about this concept of creating an innovation centre where businesses come together, early stage, pre-startup businesses to work amongst a cohort of similar and like-minded people to innovate in new cybersecurity products and services. We're working with a couple of partners here, Atom Bank, Floe, co-working space in Newcastle, and it's supported by the Department of Science, Innovation and Technology, or DSIT, as we know it. So what is the objective that we're trying to achieve here? So we've been working on this for quite some time now. When CyberNorth originally formed, which is about 6 years ago, one of the very first things we talked about was creating a place where businesses could come and innovate. We could create new businesses, new innovation in products and services, and therefore grow the Northeast economy. The Northeast needs more innovation in cybersecurity, and to do this, we need more startups in the sector. And to have more startups, we need to have more people thinking about starting up and creating a business. And that's kind of the space that we fit in. If we can encourage more people to think about the business and get started, and some of those will come to fruition, some of those won't, but that'll be the by. It will draw in more interest in the Northeast as a cybersecurity region. It'll draw in more students, more other businesses, people coming to create that sense of community that we're building here. So that's what we're trying to do. So these companies will come out of that, and we'll create these new businesses, and some will be successful, as I said, and they will go on to provide a competitive environment and with existing business or in a national and global environment. Some won't succeed, but even so, they will create highly skilled employees highly skilled people who will then go on to be employees of the cybersecurity companies of the future. So Cybersecurity Innovation Centre is trying to address this issue. It's trying to create a space where businesses can come and have associated business academic support to champion and develop new and innovative hardware and software cybersecurity products to support new and emerging businesses towards maturity. So when we started thinking about this, we wanted to create a bricks and mortar standalone centre with a big name across the top. So have 40, 50 seats and have people come in and do this stuff along the lines of London Office of Rapid Cyber Advancement, or DISH down in Manchester, or the centres in Scotland, for example. But that concept's kind of run out of steam. It's quite hard to get funding for such an opportunity now. And so what we've come up here with a concept of much more fluid, much more portable model. So initially we're going to be around 2 centres, one in Newcastle and one in Durham. And this, as I said, will be very portable, low cost, easy to move, and can be delivered in anywhere really where businesses come together, particularly in that co-working, co-creative space. And these places exist in Boho, in Middlesbrough, for example, Sunderland Software Centre in Sunderland, obviously. But then places like Hexham and Durham, and we can move around and provide these services on an ongoing basis. So very much at this stage, what we're trying to do is to create a model, two variants at the moment, and see whether that works, and then we can apply this as funding comes up across the region. As I've said, DSIT are behind this. They provide some funding through the Cyber Local Fund. They're the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology. They're the lead on cybersecurity when it comes to central government. So they developed the National Cyber Strategy, and they put the cash in for quite a few initiatives, including UK Cyber Cluster Collaboration, or UKC3, which CyberNorth is a member of. This brings all of the clusters that exist across the country together into one place. And we've had a pivotal role in developing the UKC3. So the offer is that for 14 cybersecurity businesses, either pre-startup or startup, pre-revenue, post-revenue, really early stage, initial idea to incorporated businesses. So I'm looking for anybody who's interested in creating a cybersecurity business. Now that might be, look, I've got an idea, but I don't know how to commercialize it, or I've already got something which is up and running, but I'm not getting the bang out of it that I need to, and I need a bit of help in getting that off the ground. Or it could be that, look, I'd like to run a company. I've got a few things, ideas going around my head, but I haven't been able to get any of those down to the ground. And so anybody would fit into that. I think if you're in a scale-up stage, you've been running for a while and you want to scale up, then perhaps this is not for you. There are other programs that we can fit you into for that. I think that takes us back to the original concept that what we need is more people thinking about new businesses who become startups, who then become scale-ups, who then become fully fledged businesses. So you could be a student. You could be thinking, I've got a great idea, stuff of the research that I'm working on. It'd be good to get that productized, commercialized. You might be in employment and think, I could do better than this. I think there's an opportunity that if I could only crack this, it could save the company millions. I like to go out on my own and develop that. Or you could be in between jobs and thinking, look, I'd like to do something different, and I've had enough of working for somebody else. I'd like to work for myself and go out and do that. So they're kind of three groups that we're expecting to draw from. But there's a fourth group, and that it could be that you're working in an existing company, and with their full backing, you're going to develop a product on behalf of that company, but they'd like you to be somewhere away from the glare of the office and somewhere in a more creative, innovative space, and that maybe work for you. So 14 cybersecurity businesses, existing or not, you get free accommodation for 6 months. This is flexible hot desking across 2 sites, Newcastle and Durham. The space is shared. It's expandable, so we've got a set number of fixed desks, and then we've got a set number of hotel desks. So if everybody had turned up on one side, that'd be fine. We could accommodate them. If fewer people turned up, then we could just size the accommodation accordingly. There are 2 sites, I said, so you can use both or one or the other at all times. They're open to you. And then there's a business support package with 6 modules done once a month, twice in effect, because they're once at each place on a monthly basis. I'm saying 5 of these are mandatory, and I'll explain to you where we come on. And none of the program is mandatory, but it makes sense for, if you're being involved in it, to attend as many of these as possible. But I think the key to this is getting in amongst a cohort of other businesses who are trying to do something similar. So interaction with those other early stage businesses, not just your cybersecurity cohort, but other businesses doing different products, different range, but they're going through the same mill that you are, or you will be, in terms of creating your own business. Yeah. And I think it's ideal to get a cohort of people who can work together, who can lean on each other to go through this process together. So there's 2 locations. The first one is Floe, which is right in the centre of Newcastle, the bottom of Granger Street, about what used to be Tuss Park, or still is, I think. And they're a community-focused co-working space. So there's lots of new and developing businesses in there. So their idea behind this is that the members thrive by bouncing ideas off each other, by living in that kind of co-working, innovative space. So within Floe, you get meeting rooms, breakout spaces, telephone booths, kitchens. There's 24/7 access. The offices are manned in normal working hours, and but you have access to that all the time. So you have access to all of that space. Now, Atom, which I'm sure you are, one of the biggest employers in Durham now. I think only beaten by the council and the NHS in Durham, but the UK's first bank built exclusively for mobile, and they have an office at Akeley Heads in Durham, just up from the County Hall in Durham. But the space will be at Salvers House, which is owned by Business Durham, and we have 4 desks there, and we have 10 desks up at Floe. So that's where the 14, we get the 14 companies, but all 14 could work wherever you want to work. It's just that expandable space. Yeah. So Salvers House has something similar. It's got meeting rooms, it's got breakout spaces, it's got all the stuff that you would expect from a co-working space. Okay, the program is going to run from February and March we'll be recruiting. So there's an application form, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And the aim is that the program will run for 6 months from April to September. I was going to start, we commence the 8th of April, but I think that's still part of the school Easter holidays, so that may go back by a week or so. But we'll let you know that as we develop the program. So there's going to be 6 monthly workshops in amongst the free accommodation. They'll be repeated twice, one at each centre. So if you miss one, you can go to the other, etc., etc. And there'll be a pitch or progress event at CyberFest, the Northeast's biggest cybersecurity festival, which is held in September. I think we're going to hold it in September and October this year. We had 17 events last September, so it's a big opportunity. And actually, the funding for this came from CyberFest last year, so all very exciting. There's an opportunity for you to get up and explain what your business is up to, what's been through, and whether it's successful or not in terms of producing a product or not. The experience will be great, and it's all grist to the mill and being able to talk to your customers about how you move forward. So I said there were 6 areas of business support. There's 7 on this list, and I'll explain why in a minute. But the first one we're going to talk about is your product, which is where the majority of people start with in terms of thinking about the business. They've got an idea, of a product or a service, and we're going to talk to you and help you about developing that idea, how to market it, how to ensure that it's secure and building cybersecurity into your business. So a vital part, I think, of any business, getting the product right and being able to pivot and change the product depending upon market initiatives, market demand, etc., etc. So that'll be the first. The second, I think, is just as important. You can have the best product in the world, but if you've got no customers for it, you might as well just whistle, because customers are going to be the lifeblood of your business. So we're going to talk to you about how to get them, how to create a proof of concept, how to sell, how to turn from people who are leads to people who will actually pay you money for your product, and some of the process that you need to go through to get that happen. So again, another vital piece of the jigsaw. The third we're going to talk about is your own company, and this is the one that's not necessarily mandatory because some of you may have already set up a company, and we're going to talk about incorporation, about how to govern your company, all the legal stuff that you have to go through. But then we're also going to talk about intellectual property, and this may be something you want to come back to. How do you preserve and protect your intellectual property and make sure that the products that you developed and services you developed remain yours? And I'd like to come back to this a little later on in the presentation. The fourth session is around money, and this is in 2 parts. The first part is around managing your own finances, making sure that your company has the liquidity it needs to keep going. How do you manage that? How do you report? What legal requirements, taxation, etc., VAT, should you choose to go down that road? How do you manage all that process? And then the second is when you start to create your business and you start to grow, how are you going to fund that? How are you going to raise capital in the market? What sources are available? What do you be expected to come up with in order to get that money? What investors are looking for? All that kind of thing, the different stages of funding. So again, with 2 halves, that one. The fifth is around people, and we're talking about, I think, again, in a couple of stages. One is around the actual management of the HR function of your own business and make sure that, sickness, rights, people, things like legal requirements, in terms of your people, pensions, etc., etc. Then we'll talk about getting the right team, making sure you have the right partners on board, and how do you make sure that you fill the gaps as your team grows and what it is that you're looking for, and getting the right people on board rather than the people who are necessarily available or cheap. And so again, a really important aspect as you grow the business to make sure that you've got the right people on board. And it's vital that you do these, make these decisions in the cold light of day rather than waiting until you're in the heat of battle and haven't got time to make the right decision. There's also going to be a bit around your own personal well-being. How do you make sure you look after you and your fellow employees, and what's going to be an interesting, challenging journey to get your business up and running. And then there's a final session, which I'm calling a summary. And here we're going to bring some big businesses together to come and talk to you. And we've currently got Northumbrian Water Group, NHS BSA, and Atom itself. And they're going to talk to you about how they buy from market, what they're looking for, how they engage with suppliers, and give you a real insight into how to pitch your own business so that it appeals to this kind of organization. Because ideally, that's where you're going to sell your products in the future. Yeah. I've mentioned the Cyberfest, which will come later. So that's a different opportunity. But there's one other thing that I just want to mention that's in this group of what I've called others. Throughout each of these sessions, there's going to be somebody from an existing cyber company working alongside you, so that you can refer to their direct experience of some of these things in a cyber company context. Yeah, so kind of ground some of the information I will tell you and making it as relevant as we can to you. We're also going to bring in, where relevant, somebody from academia, someone from the university, so you can think about doing the analysis, doing the research, thinking about this in terms of analytical processes, and get that right. So somebody from university will be, but will be as appropriate. And then we have a UK Startup Week. Have developed a new platform called Platform, which is a monthly get together of startup businesses. Paul, who runs this, is happy for you to go along and will give a session on the kind of startup scene in the region and how to be part of it and how to get the most out of sharing and working with these people. So to sum up then, how do I get involved in this? Well, if you want to know more, I'll give you a whole series of email addresses to get in touch with. But hello@cyber.biz. Just drop me a note and say, I'd like some more information, or I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, or whatever it is. Or you can submit the application form. I'll send it out to everybody who's registered this business. I'll put it on social media as well. So there's an online form which gives some background detail of your employment status, what you try to do, etc., etc. Some of the questions are mandatory, some are not. It's entirely up to you how you want to fill that in. A few things I want to mention, though. There will be some terms and conditions, particularly around fairness and treating the other people in the cohort with respect, and some of the things that you expect. Of course, you will need to follow whatever requirements the accommodation flow and Salvas House have of you in terms of clearing up your desks, etc., etc. There's the workshops to think about. I said I would come back to IP. I just want to make it clear that any product or service that you developed as part of this this innovation center will remain yours. It is your intellectual property. CyberNorth, Atombank, Flow, Department of Science and Information Technology will have no rights to any of the IP that's developed within this product. Yeah, which is nice, as they say. And the other thing I want to mention is that you might want to just be clear about your employment status, because some of you may actually still be employed and may or may not want your employer to know that. We respect whatever it is that you tell us, but we just want to make sure that we're clear about where that is. That is between you and your employer, not between us and your employer, and so we will just respect whatever you tell us about that. So once we have the application form, there'll be a selection process, including probably a short interview, just to make sure that what we're providing is going to fit in with your aspirations and that you're working along the right sort of lines. And then we're going to notify the people who are successful or not, and then get going. So there's lots more information if you just go onto the cybernorth.biz website, and I'll give you the address in a minute, and search for innovation or innovation center, and there'll be a page there which you can look at, and the information will grow on there. I'll send out the slides, and I'll send out the link. I'll send a link to the application form to everybody who's registered for this, but I'll put it on social media as well, so that everybody can get a hold of it. So I said there was a lot of addresses. There's CyberNorth Biz website. There's a whole host of information on there. All the W cybernorth.biz. There's hello@cybernorth.biz. Me, Phil at cybernorth.biz, and my colleague Andrew. Write to any of us. All of us one of us will get back to you and develop that. Or you can be a bit old school and ring me on 0775 025 096, and I will get back to you as soon as I'm free. So that's basically it. Please drop me a note with any questions. Please look out, get your applications in as quickly as you can, and we'll get the process up and running. And I hope to be working with you and look forward to seeing you sometime in April. Thank you very much.